On this weekend, 11 years ago, Lewis Hamilton won his very first Formula 1 World Championship by literally passing Timo Glock at the last possible corner at the Brazilian Grand Prix. Since then, he won championships in 2014 and 2015, and then he lost out to Nico Rosberg in 2016, but in 2017 and 18, he achieved a 5-time World Championship goal, similar to Juan Manuel Fangio and Michael Schumacher. Today, however, he goes for something that only Michael Schumacher has done: win 6 world titles, to be the second greatest driver in Formula 1 history. Can he do it from starting 5th on the grid, or will Valtteri Bottas have the advantage? He only needs to win this weekend and to deny Lewis the championship. It's all to play for. Let's take a look at the Drivers' and the Constructors' Championship. Formula 1 leaves Mexico and heads up the road to Austin, Texas, the Lone Star State, for round 19 of 2019. And we start off this incredible circuit cherry-picked with the very best of all the racetracks around the world. A purpose-built racetrack here in America for Formula 1 is all we could ever have asked for after many years of trying. Since 2012, the Circuit of the Americas has made Formula 1 very, very welcome, and we have a home here in the United States. In the calendar, there is only 3 more races remaining. Here in Austin for the United States Grand Prix. 2 weeks' time we're in Brazil. And then in just 2 more weeks, 4 weeks to the day today, we will end in Abu Dhabi on the 1st of December. Lewis Hamilton leads the Drivers' Championship here. All he needs to do is score 4 more points than Valtteri Bottas, and he is the 2019 World Champion and a 6-time World Champion. The battle between the 2 Ferraris is quite close. 236 for Leclerc, 230 for Vettel, Max Verstappen closing in as well. But the battle for 6th is close as well, with Gasly, Sainz and Albon. Just a few points separate them. But there is a massive, massive battle with the midfield teams of Renault, McLaren, Toro Rosso, Alfa Romeo and Racing Point, and Haas as well with Kevin Magnussen. It's honestly so close. Perez 43, 38 for Hülkenberg. Ricciardo as well. Norris, Kvyat, Raikkonen, Stroll, Magnussen all battling it out and could end up anywhere over the next few races. Grosjean just ahead on 8 points. Giovinazzi still on 4. Robert Kubica on 1. And no points yet for George Russell. In the Constructors' Championship, Mercedes are leading the way. They are the World Champions in 2019, no doubt about that. But the battle very much is between Renault, Toro Rosso and Racing Point. Toro Rosso and Racing Point level on points actually coming in. So it's a 3-way fight for 5th in the title. And joining me now is a girl who believes that Star Wars The Last Jedi is a good film. That means that her Formula 1 tastes must be even worse. It's a girl who believes that Lewis Hamilton shouldn't actually win the title this year. She thought it should go to Valtteri Bottas earlier on in the season. And I'm going to ask her if her mind has changed. Of course, a welcome back to Megan Birch. Megan, good afternoon to you. Welcome to Austin, Texas. And the position I'm going to ask you is Lewis Hamilton going to be world champion for a 6th time today?
Yes. Oh, by the way, Last Jedi is a good film.
Well, I'll have to beg to differ on that one, but the mood this morning coming into Austin, Valtteri Bottas very much knows he has to win this race, and Lewis Hamilton to be 8th or 9th back. If Hamilton is outside of the top 10 and Bottas wins this race, it goes down to Brazil. It's not over yet. It's not quite straightforward for Hamilton.
That's highly unlikely.
That Hamilton will be outside the top 10. Yeah, he hasn't been outside the top 10 all season, actually. Scored points at every round that he's finished at. So it's looking incredibly likely Hamilton will be champion this weekend. Just to give you the stats for you, I do have them open on my watch. So if Hamilton will be the champion, if Bottas wins the race, Hamilton must finish 8th. If Bottas wins, Hamilton must finish 9th, but with the fastest lap. But if Bottas comes 2nd, Hamilton is automatically the champion. So Bottas must win today. So all he can do. Can he win from pole position? Yes. Megan's seen tests. Well, can he win?
With a chance.
Put a percentage on it. Megan loves maths.
44%.
First time in 6 races that Ferrari haven't been on pole position. Bottas, first time he's been on pole since since Great Britain, and he has had a strong performance in the past few races to try and deny Hamilton the title. Did it back in Mexico. Now, this weekend, Charles Leclerc in free practice 3 had an engine failure and had to change with an oil leak. So he's onto an older engine that is rumoured to be the spec before the summer break. So right before Ferrari got competitive. Is that going to affect Ferrari's strategy? Because we know in the past few races they very much have been playing the two-stop game. So they mean both their cars at the maximum speed. Is Vettel going to be fighting on his own today?
No.
Leclerc's going to be up there.
Yeah.
I want your opinion now, Megan. Max Verstappen starts starts third on the grid. Sorry. What do you think his chances are? He's fastest in practice 1 and 3, so he knows this pace. He's got the race strategy, but can Red Bull finally win here for the first time since 2013?
Maybe next year.
You're not confident this year?
No.
Predictions for this race then. It's a dry conditions, a bit cold in Austin, Texas as well. What's your prediction?
Hamilton, Bottas, Vettel, or Vettel and Bottas, either way around. Or maybe swap Vettel with Verstappen.
Any predictions on team orders? Will Ferrari use it?
Not today.
And your predictions for further down in the field with the battle that we were looking at in Mexico between Renault, Toro Rosso and Racing Point. They are incredibly close in the Constructors' title. Which of those teams do you think will prevail today?
Renault.
Yeah, we're all thinking Renault. Final thought, Haas F1. They've been in the news again this weekend due to Rich Energy putting out a tweet saying that there might be a new deal with McLaren. We know Racing Point. We know Rich Energy. Never believe. Take what they say with a pinch of salt. What do you think is going to happen with all this Rich Energy situation?
It won't last.
Yeah, I agree. Any predictions for you this? Anything else you want to say in this program?
No.
Anything about Star Wars?
But it is a good film, The Last Jedi.
Yeah, well, we'll have to debate on that later on into the commentary. Megan's with us in the commentary this weekend, and let's take a look around the circuit then of the Americas with Romain Grosjean's car of the Haas F1 team at their home race. Let's take a look around the purpose-built circuit in the Americas, specifically for Formula 1. First used back in 2012 with a 5.513km circuit. A large uphill section into turn 1, hold in 7th gear, brake all the way down into 2nd gear, take a very late apex to get the power on early at the exit as you drop downhill into turns 2, into turn now 3, 4 and 5. Ride the curve, similar to Maggots and Beckett and Silverstone. 6th gear, past the first sector checkpoint, down 5th gear as you come into turn 7. 8 and 9 now at the top of the hill. A very weird combination. Wants to throw you out wide. Avoid the bump at the exit. Full opposite lock and away now down towards turn 10. And the next heavy braking zone, the second heaviest on the track, turn 11. Hard on the brakes, down to 2nd gear. Another late apex. Get the power on mid-corner. Don't spin at the car and head down now the long back straight. Open up the DRS as well. 7th gear, 8th gear. Let's listen to the car sing. Ready on the braking point now. At 100 metres, brake 50 metres and down to 2nd gear. Late apex, turn 12. 13 and 14 form a sort of a double parallax around on itself. So does the next segments of corners into turns 15. MotoGP hate this corner. Formula 1 drivers love it because it goes round now. The long turn numbers 17 and 18, similar to Istanbul's turn 8. Before a tricky car park stop section at turn 19, the car just wants to run wide as soon as you go through. IndyCar can't take that corner properly, they have to go off the track. Turn 20, another stop-start corner, and to the line. And that is a lap of the Circuit of the Americas here in Austin, Texas. On board with America's own Haas F1. A wonderful lap there with the Haas F1 team. Now, in no way do we support the actions of Rich Energy throughout this weekend. And people say that their cans aren't real, Megan, but we've managed to get a hold of some. We got a hold of some a few months ago.
3 of them.
3 of them, yes. Dan has the other one. But a rare Formula 1 product there of a sponsorship that never really went well. And it really was, in the first half of the season, the talking point, wasn't it? Now, obviously we put these away now. You can keep yours if you want. Right, Megan, talking points just quickly before we get onto the qualifying report. Turn 1, it's an uphill section, 30-degree angle. What do you think is going to be the situation to turn 1? Because Sebastian Vettel has come out and said that he's all right being second because he got the outside line into turn 1. So what do you think? Contact, drama? Who's going to lead out turn 1?
There's been contact in the middle, and Vettel or Verstappen will get the lead. Bottas will fall back a bit.
I want your prediction. Pit stop strategy. Is it a one-stop race or is it a two-stop race?
2.
You're going two-stop. I agree with you because we saw the blistering in Mexico City that forced the two stops. Mexico, it was all about the pit lane drama. Any more of that this weekend, do you think?
No, actually.
Excellent. Right, Megan, thank you very much. We'll see you in the commentary box later on this evening.
Yep.
And Megan will be in the podcast as well. So Megan will disappear and we'll run a nice little graphic. And when we come back after this little VT, we'll have the qualifying report. Right, you can go now. Literally a side step out and Megan is gone. Right, let's get on to the qualifying report then for the 2019 United States Grand Prix. Valtteri Bottas took pole position for the first time since the British Grand Prix at Silverstone in mid-July. A surprise, actually, because it really was Ferraris that we were thinking, because they've had 6 poles in a row so far since Belgium, and we were anticipating something similar here this weekend. However, not. The Circuit of the Americas has been kind to Lewis Hamilton in recent years. However, he didn't have a good qualifying. He starts 5th on the grid. But let's go through as ever with what happened and start off with Q1. And what an absolute delight it was to see Lando Norris top qualifying 1 for McLaren. The first time McLaren have topped a qualifying session since Fernando Alonso did it in the wet at Silverstone back in 2017. It was an utter shock to see them up there, but it wasn't too surprised because the top teams were sandbagging a little bit. But Lando Norris getting back up there. It's only up now for McLaren, and it is an absolute fantastic to see. It was a cold Friday practice, but conditions improved for the start of qualifying as well. Vettel made life slightly trickier for himself. He locked up on his first attempt into turn 1. A 30.9 metre uphill braking zone as well from 8th gear. It's always going to be a tricky one. Hamilton was initially the man to beat. He edged out Verstappen by less than a tenth of a second. Bottas as well was third in the running. Pierre Gasly hauled himself out of the drop zone at the closing stages, and that meant that he dropped out both of the Alfa Romeos, so Antonio Giovinazzi and Kimi Raikkonen. That was the shocker from qualifying 1. After that, we kind of knew what it was going to be. George Russell and Robert Kubica always eliminated for qualifying 1, and we knew that Sergio Perez wasn't going to go through to Q2 anyway, because the team decided not to run in qualifying because he already has to start from the pit lane after failing to stop at the weighbridge yesterday in practice 2. Friday in practice 2. So he already has to start from the pit lane, no doubt about that. So Q1, we lost the 2 Alphas of Giovinazzi and Raikkonen, the 2 Williamses of Russell and Kubica, and Sergio Perez as well. He'll start at the back of the grid. On to qualifying 2 then. Fortunes favour the brave, and it was very much the brave at the top teams to decide to go out of the medium tyre to start their race on. They all did go out of the soft compound tyre. However, they all decided to back off at the last possible second, except for Alexander Albon. He is gone on to start the race on the soft compound tyre. Verstappen is starting the race on the medium compound tyre, so they very much do have a split strategy going into this race. For the second race running, everybody was on the soft compound tyre. Nothing you could do about that one. But it was Hamilton who set the best middle sector of all, backed off as well. But that meant that Hülkenberg, Magnussen, Kvyat, Stroll and Grosjean were eliminated from qualifying 2. Going into qualifying 3, and it was Bottas who made it count with his first run in qualifying. It seems to be a habit that since Italy, the first run in Q3 seems to be the pole lap, and he did it. He out-qualified Vettel by 0.012 of a second, so literally 10 thousandths of a second separated them. The top 3 separated by 0.3. The top 4 separated by less than a tenth of a second in the end on their second runs. But it was Bottas who edged out Vettel in second, Verstappen scoring his best ever starting grid here at the Circuit of the Americas. And he's the best grid slot actually since Hungary, so when he took pole position. Contrast, Leclerc failed to start on the front row for the first time in 7 races, and Hamilton will start off the front row in USA for only the second time in his career. It really is quite a shocker for Lewis Hamilton to have such a poor qualifying, and he backed out of the last lap as well, so he was definitely not going to improve. Right, let's take a look at the starting grid then for the United States Grand Prix. So Valtteri Bottas starts on pole position on row 1. He's alongside Sebastian Vettel. Row 2 sees Max Verstappen alongside Charles Leclerc. Row 3, Lewis Hamilton, the furthest he's ever back started here in Austin. Then we get alongside him Alexander Albon. Row 4, Carlos Sainz alongside Lando Norris. And row 5, Daniel Ricciardo and Pierre Gasly rounding out the top 10. After, on row number 6, Nico Hülkenberg and Kevin Magnussen. Row 7, Danny Kvyat and Lance Stroll. Row 8, Romain Grosjean, Antonio Giovinazzi. Row 9, Kimi Raikkonen and George Russell. And on row 10 is Robert Kubica. Having to start from the pit lane for failing to stop for an official weight check and additional power unit changed as well, Sergio Perez starts this Grand Prix from the pit lane. Well, fortune favours the brave, and Lewis Hamilton only has to be inside the top 10 to be crowned champion. Valtteri Bottas has to be the bravest man on the track. He has to race all the way throughout and finish in first place. Can the Finn finish in first? Well, it's time to find out. The 2019 United States Grand Prix gets underway in about 45 minutes time from when you're watching this as well. 7:10 in the UK. It's live on Sky Sports F1. It's also live on BBC Radio 5 Live, and just at 11:30 for the Channel 4 highlights as well. We'll be back on Wednesday with the Grand Review podcast as well, where we'll all talk, me, Megan and Dad, and commentary as well from the race. And fingers crossed, Lewis Hamilton could be crowned world champion this afternoon. It's going to be a tricky one, but then again, it always is when it comes down to deciding titles. It's Championship Day in Austin, Texas. It's a showdown in the desert. We'll see you soon. Bye for now.